After the death of King Saul, David was made king over Judah because he was of the tribe of Judah, and he had been living in the area of Judah, and everybody knew that Samuel had anointed David king to succeed Saul. But Abner, the general of Saul's army, had remained faithful to Saul, and so had appointed Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, to reign in Saul's place over the rest of the nation of Israel. This put the country in civil war. But it seems there was only one battle in which the followers of David decisively won, but they withdrew from the end of the battle that there might be an opportunity for a peaceful resolution. The withdrawal on the advice of Abner. And over the next few years, Ishbosheth declined in power and authority, while David increased. And then Ishbosheth, Saul's son, accused Abner over the matter of a woman who had been Saul's concubine. And this was the last straw for Abner, saying, "You accuse me about a woman when I've kept you in power." And so he begins a peace process with David, and having won over the elders of Israel, comes and confirms it with David. David's only condition was that his wife Michal, Saul's daughter, be restored to him, which Ishbosheth has organised. This is symbolically important because it affirms continually that David is not destroying the house of Saul, but is part of the house of Saul. Abner visits while Joab, David's general, is away. And when Joab returns and finds Abner gone, he summons him to come back, because in the battle Abner had killed Joab's brother. And now Joab kills Abner in retaliation. But this was completely inappropriate, and David is not happy, not least because it could completely derail the peace process. And David has said to the people, "Do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? And I am weak today, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, are too harsh for me. The Lord shall repay the evildoer according to his wickedness." And so he commits the judgment of this matter to God. When Saul's son heard that Abner had died in Hebron, he lost heart, and all Israel was troubled. Now Saul's son had 2 men who were captains of troops. The name of one was Baanah, and the name of the other was Rechab, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, of the children of Benjamin. For Beeroth also was part of Benjamin, because the Beerothites fled to Gittaim, and have been sojourners there until this day. Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son who was lame in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it happened, as she made haste to flee, that he fell, and became lame. His name was Mephibosheth. Then the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, Rechab and Baanah, set out, and came at about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who was lying on his bed at noon. And they came there all the way into the house, as though to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and Baanah his brother escaped, for when they came into the house he was lying on his bed in his bedroom. Then they struck him and killed him, beheaded him and took his head, and were all night escaping through the plain. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth to David at Hebron, and said to the king, "Here is the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, your enemy, who sought your life. And the Lord has avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and his descendants." But David answered Rechab and Baanah his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and said to them, "As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life from all adversity, when someone told me, saying, 'Look, Saul is dead,' thinking to have brought good news, I arrested him and had him executed in Ziklag, the one who thought I would give him a reward for his news. How much more when wicked men have killed a righteous person in his own house on his bed? Therefore shall I not now require his blood at your hand, and remove you from the earth? So David commanded his young men, and they executed them, cut off their hands and feet, and hanged them by the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth, and buried it in the tomb of Abner in Hebron. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share these verses from 2 Samuel chapter 4. In reporting the death of Ishbosheth in this chapter, the writer has also reminded us that there is another descendant of Saul, by the name of Mephibosheth, a son of Jonathan, and therefore technically the inheritor of the title King of Israel, since Jonathan was the heir apparent, but died with his father in the battle. David and Jonathan had made a covenant together. Mephibosheth is just a young boy. He was 5 years old when Saul died, so he's now 7 years old. And he has become lame, because at the time of Saul's death, his nurse sought to rescue him, lest the Philistines come and attack and destroy the whole family. And in so doing, she dropped him, and he became lame. What will David do with Mephibosheth? Will he have him executed so that there is no remnant of the house of Saul left? But he had promised Saul and Jonathan that he would not do that. David is not the enemy of Saul or of Saul's house. The Lord had promised him the throne, and he will wait the Lord's time. Those who fight against the Lord are indeed fighting also against David, and therefore he was happy to negotiate with Abner that there might be a peaceful resolution, that Ishbosheth might step aside and hand the kingdom over to David, which is what Jonathan would have done. But now we have two men rising up from the house of Benjamin, who can see that the days are numbered for Ishbosheth, and apparently want to ingratiate themselves with the new regime of David. Again, they are second-guessing, and second-guessing wrongly, the attitude David will take. They are thinking David thinks like them, but David is a man after God's own heart, and God is patient, and God is loving. God wants peace and reconciliation. He's not out for violence. It is unrighteous people who choose violence and murder. Satan is the murderer from the beginning, Jesus told us. And so these two brothers go and kill Ishbosheth while he is resting on his own bed in his own house, an assassination, and bring his head to David. David is appalled at their behaviour and orders they be executed for murder. He again disowns their action. They are not acting for him, they are acting against him. And it is important for the peace of the nation that everybody recognises that David has not attacked the household of Saul at any time in his life. And David affirms, these are wicked men who have killed a righteous person. Sure, Ishbosheth was king, but he was a victim of circumstances. Abner had made him king. He hadn't desired the throne for himself. And how was he going to get out of it? And with Abner, the politician, the power behind the throne, out of the way, Ishbosheth really was in a difficult situation. David would understand that, but these men have simply murdered him. Of course, that alienates the two parties. David is about overcoming evil with good, not by fighting evil with evil. That's the world's way of doing things. And so he honours Ishbosheth, as he has honoured Abner, burying him in Abner's tomb in Hebron. But is that enough to generate peace among the tribes?